And there is a systematic effort to target minorities in the country. Hindus especially. Arson, vandalism, violence and arrests. That's all happened in the recent past against Hindu religious leaders, especially has underlined the country's challenges in maintaining its legacy in the aftermath of Sheikh Hasina's ouster. The fears of resurgence of Islamist political parties and intolerance towards other religions, specifically towards Hindus, is very clear and very present. And facts back those fears. There is a significant decline in the Hindu population in Bangladesh, which comprises only about 8% of the total population in 2024, as opposed to it standing at 22% at the time of the 1971 Liberation War. Clearly, the Yunus government has turned a blind eye to all the hate crimes against minorities in the country. Now, not to say that this decline has happened only in the last 4 months, but in the last 4 months, that attack, that persecution has only increased. Many see this caretaker government in Bangladesh as being in hand in glove with radical Islamists. In fact, here in India too, the opposition is attempting to highlight what they claim is New Delhi's inadequacy in walking the talk on protecting the interests of Hindu population in Bangladesh. Before we get to that, let's get you some facts as far as the attacks on minorities in Bangladesh are concerned. The timeline of these attacks over the past few months has been marked by increasing violence. There's vandalism and religious persecution against Hindu temples, Hindu organizations. On the 30th of November, 2 ISKCON monks were arrested after a meeting with the monk Chinmay Das in jail. This followed a crackdown on ISKCON-related protests. The day before that is when Hindu temples in Chattogram were vandalized. Hindus were assaulted by Muslim extremist groups. ISKCON temple in Dhaka's Kishorganj was attacked as well. The ISKCON as an organization seems to be under attack in Bangladesh. On the 27th of November, the Loknath temple in Chittagong was vandalized as well. 2 days before that, on 25th, that's really where all of this began from. ISKCON monk and priest Chinmay Das was arrested at the Dhaka airport. That sparked further tensions. Eventually, he was arrested. His bail was denied as well. Earlier last month, in fact, in November, a crackdown on ISKCON protesters were carried out by Bangladeshi army. An extremist group called for a ban on ISKCON activities in Bangladesh as well. Now, has the Yunus government blatantly taken sides? Because many believe so. There seems to be a change in tone and tenor of the administration as far as Bangladesh goes. Because there are radical elements as far as Bangladesh goes. Once banned, now not. And there seems to be a difference in how this caretaker government is responding to things. On the 10th of August, just after Sheikh Hasina's exit, Mohammad Yunus tried to reach out to minorities. He was at a temple as well. This was when Jamaat was banned. He went on to ask if minorities are not people of this country. But the minute the ban on Jamaat was lifted, Yunus said that these attacks on minorities were political in nature, they were not communal in nature, and they were being blown out of proportion. Now, while the Jamaat was still banned, the Yunus government pitched for unity and said that there was absolutely no bias against anyone on the basis of religion. But a month later, the same government paused Durga Puja music during namaz and azan. Now, right after he took charge, the chief of this caretaker government in Bangladesh, Mohammad Yunus, dialed Prime Minister Modi. He assured safety of all Hindus because violence had already started gripping the country. But 3 months later, even as those attacks continue unabated and only increase, that same man says these reports of these attacks are only exaggerated and that India must not meddle into Bangladesh's internal affairs. Now, in the wake of these rising atrocities against Hindus in Bangladesh, there are protests that have erupted along the India-Bangladesh border in West Bengal specifically. War of words erupted between the two political parties that are at stake or that are stakeholders in West Bengal, TMC and the BJP, specifically Mamata Banerjee and the BJP. West Bengal Chief Minister placed the responsibility squarely on the shoulders of the centre, while the BJP criticized her for doing so. Mamata Banerjee called on Prime Minister Modi to take immediate action in addressing this rising persecution of the instances that are coming to the fore. She criticized the centre for not doing enough to protect the Hindu minority across the border and emphasized that Prime Minister Modi must intervene diplomatically to ensure safety of Hindus. In response, the BJP launched a scathing attack on Mamata Banerjee, accusing her of what they called were crocodile tears over the issue. The West Bengal Chief Minister then urged the central government to push for deployment of UN peacekeeping force to protect these religious minorities in Bangladesh. In sharp contrast, the BJP accused Mamata Banerjee of being a Hindu-hating hypocrite. Words of the BJP leaders there, claiming that her calls for international interventions are disingenuous and politically motivated. Mamata Banerjee, while speaking in the assembly, emphasized that no religion should be harmed and has called for an end to all religious violence in Bangladesh, specifically on Hindus. The BJP, meanwhile, has accused the West Bengal Chief Minister of hypocrisy. The The BJP claims that her calls for religious tolerance and protection of minorities ring hollow given her own track record in West Bengal, further pointing that Mamata Banerjee's government has been involved in targeting Hindu monks and religious figures herself. Now, Mamata Banerjee strongly condemned the violence that was being perpetrated in Bangladesh, asserting that such acts are condemnable, and the world has said that. The BJP, meanwhile, didn't see much as far as that condemnation went. They accused Mamata Banerjee and the TMC as a whole of exploiting the issue of violence against Hindus for their own vote bank politics. Mamata Banerjee said that West Bengal is prepared to take in those who are suffering along the border. The BJP then called for the people of Bengal to reject Mamata Banerjee's leadership altogether to save itself from meeting the same fate as Hindus of Bangladesh. So the political war of words continues here in India. But all of this is playing out over attacks that are taking place in Bangladesh, and it's the Hinuds government that really needs to take the onus for it. So while Bangladesh and the caretaker government there fails to protect minorities, are we seeing an attempt by the TMC and the West Bengal Chief Minister to put the onus back on the centre? We open that up.
Tension has been mounting on the other side of the border. As you can see from here, the large number of people, they are waiting also on the other side to come on this side.
We don't have weapons, we don't have bombs, we have Bhagavad Gita, we are being totally misunderstood.
ISKCON पर जो गलत आरोप लगाए जा रहे हैं, जैसे फंडामेंटलिस्ट्स या हमें एक टेररिस्ट ऐसा बताया जा रहा है, वो बिल्कुल बेबुनियाद बात है।
Government of India can take up the matter with the United Nations so that they can send the peacekeeping force in Bangladesh.
Let's open this up. Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, former Indian ambassador to Bangladesh and former secretary of the Minister of External Affairs, joins us here. Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhry, editor of Bangladeshi newspaper Blitz, is with us. Siddharth Yadav, spokesperson of the BJP, and Shabnam Dey, political analyst who backs the TMC, is here with us. And I'd like to make it clear at the outset that the TMC was invited to be a part of this debate, but unfortunately chose not to. Let me begin by asking Salahuddin Shoaib Chaudhry. So what is happening in Bangladesh? Why are we seeing these attacks continue against religious figures of the Hindu community, specifically against ISKCON? Is there a reason why not enough is being done by the caretaker government, by the Yunus administration there to stop this?
Thank you, Panamji. Actually, as you know that from the August 5th, Bangladesh has been hijacked by Islamists and jihadists. And now what we are seeing, the Yunus regime is actually, he is being run by the Islamists. He is being completely run and influenced and run by the Islamists and jihadists. And that's why the Hindus are under attack. And as you said, the ISKCON is in line of fire. No, not only ISKCON, Hindus are also in the line of fire. And at the same time, very dangerous thing here is that for the first time, I mean, after the 1971, these Islamists and jihadists, they are promoting anti-India sentiment in Bangladesh, publicly disrespecting flags of India, and at the same time, very unfortunately, they are also portraying ISKCON as terrorists and Hindus as agents of India. All the Hindus, very unfortunately, we have, as you said, 8% of our population are Hindus, and they have never been like this. So this is an attempt of maligning and defaming and demonizing Hindus and also India in this part of the country. Why? Because those who have ceased fire on the August 5th, they all are very much inclined towards the anti-liberation forces. I would like to clearly say they are very much inclined towards Pakistan. And this is the narrative of Pakistan that they are now uh, harboring in this country, in Bangladesh, with the anti-India sentiment and spreading hatred towards India, spreading enmity towards India, spreading enmity towards Hindus. So if you say that there has been attacks on Hindus, yes, from the August 5th until today, but there have been isolated attacks also in Bangladesh since 1971. But the attack that we are witnessing from August 5th, the similar attack we have seen from March 25th to 16th of December 1971 in this country, as if my country, for which 3 million people sacrificed their blood, 70% of whom were Hindus, for which 3 to 400,000 women and girls sacrificed their honor, out of which more than 80% were Hindus, as if now we are seeing a neo-Taliban country. This is not the Bangladesh for which we fought. This is not the Bangladesh for which we sacrificed our blood.
But is this the Bangladesh that we'll have to live with? That's really the question that everyone is asking, because this was supposed to be a caretaker government. We don't know if elections are going to be held, when they are going to be held. And even if they are, the outcome perhaps would be the same as what we are seeing right now. So Pinakarajan Chakravarti, then does it surprise you? Does it surprise you that there isn't enough that's being done by the Yunus government, despite all of the assurances that have come to the fore in the last 3 months? Because clearly their actions and their words don't match.
There is a reason for it, and I believe that they are preparing for the ground to bring back the BNP and the Islamist coalition into power. I don't know whether you have noted it, but recently the High Court, which was, of course, as you know, packed with their nominees after they possibly removed all the judges of the previous High Court, has acquitted all those accused who were responsible for the grenade and the machine gun attack in August 2024 on Hasina and an Awami League leaders when they were holding a public rally. Now, they have all been acquitted, which, by the way, that also includes Tariq Rahman, the acting chairman of the BNP, who lives in exile in London and who will no doubt now think of coming back and heading the BNP. And I won't be surprised if he becomes the next prime minister of Bangladesh, because their plan is very simple: that wipe out the Awami League as much as possible, because you can't ban the Awami League, because that would make any election again, as if the credibility of any election without the Awami League will not be there in the eyes of the global community. So I think this is the plan, because the Islamists have today found that an opportunity after 15 years to come back to the mainstream and grab power and do what they always have wanted to do. And they have been given free rein by the Yunus government. I think Professor Yunus is not in control. That's my view personally. And the policies and all these things that we are seeing, the violence, is being coordinated by the leaders of the students' agitation and the Islamists. They are coordinating with each other, and some of it, of course, are stray and perhaps cannot be prevented even in normal times. As you know, even in normal times, Hindus were regularly attacked. It came down drastically when Hasina was in power, because she cracked down on the Islamists, put many of them in jail. She convicted and hanged the war criminals who led the Jamaat-e-Islami in 1971. So all this anger against Hasina is being directed against the Hindus, who, by the way, are generally seen as the supporters of the Awami. So this is the situation at the moment, in brief.
Siddharth Yadav, then, does the onus fall on the central government here in India to take up the issue with more rigor, with more aggression, as the TMC says? In fact, not just the TMC, but others within the opposition have also accused the Indian government of not doing enough.
No, I think there are two parts to this. Number one, the central government, under the able leadership of Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, has made it very clear from since August, when such acts started to happen. The Ministry of External Affairs had put out very clear statements, and all channels and all options available for any sovereign country in the diplomatic constraints that any country would have. India has been exercising that. Our Prime Minister also spoke to the change of regime, the head of the state now, Muhammad Yunus. We also assured and also requested for safety of all minorities and specifically the Hindus right there. We have also taken note of what has happened in Bangladesh. We have called upon the government of Bangladesh, and we are keeping very close watch on what has to happen. And definitely, if the regime change that has happened, because all of us must appreciate that there is no democracy currently in Bangladesh. It is the mobocracy that has taken over. The government which is formed or currently which is answering on the part of the state of Bangladesh is not really elected. And when such things happen, when the extremist forces take over any country, then definitely challenges come up. But it is the responsibility, and we are very clear about it, that it is the responsibility of the Indian government to take strictest of actions to prevent any such attack on minorities and specifically the Hindus in the state of Bangladesh. Now, what has to be understood is that lately, specifically after few results of few state governments have come out, some statements have been coming out from few political parties, some factions, some leaders. Although we are yet to have a consolidated or to have a one call for safety of Hindus from the country, yet from all political factions of this country, because yet top leaders from Congress party and others are reserving themselves from commenting. But we have seen that some people who were keeping quiet since August when such issues happened, few people who chose to rather come out and say that no such attack is happening, are now showing their concern, which we would appreciate if it is true, but we do not know for a matter of fact. But now when such people are also, and I would say, getting awakened, all political factions rather in this country should get awakened. We have to come out, say in one voice, that all Hindus, all minorities in Bangladesh have to be saved, and whatever options are available, the sovereign options would be available in front of us. Would that be curbing the trade or putting some sanctions? The Indian government is ready for that. We have today only seen the Tripura government has demanded back 136 crores of the loan that was given to Bangladesh earlier. Such actions have to follow if the Bangladesh government is not going to take action. We are keeping a close watch. We are of a very clear opinion. This government has given a very clear message: no attack on minorities.
But the opposition believes that message is not being heard, Siddharth Yadav. The problem is that the opposition believes that
I don't think
you're not walking the talk, or you're not doing enough for Bangladesh to actually get the message. And Shabnam, that's exactly what the TMC is trying to say today. But why is it that you think that the government is not doing enough?
Poonam, good evening. Thanks a lot for inviting me, and good evening to all my panelists. That Mamata Banerjee is on the verge of her speaking in Parliament that PM Modi is not intervening the matter, which is the minorities atrocities by this Bangladesh extremist government, and the Yunus government, caretaker government, failed to ensure the protection of the minority in every phase of their lives, and temples to ISKCON, all vandalized. So PM Modi is not having that dialogue with Bangladesh. PM Modi is still keeping mum. It is international issue too. And even peacekeeping force, what Mamata Banerjee demanded, CM demanded to install in Bangladesh at this emergency period. Otherwise, more violation, breach of peace and tranquility, and threat to life and violence. And see, your media is covering all these issues, and see the burning of fire in the midst of the protester and the population over there. So it's so daring, and minorities are to be protected. And if Hindus are there, they should be brought to the country too. This has to be a dialogue by PM. Why PM has been elected? PM is now keeping
But
mum
Shabnam De, now
in
we
this
have
issue.
West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee saying
True.
that all those people who feel unsafe there can come to India and our doors are open for you. But when a similar law was being brought in, the Citizenship Amendment Act, the TMC was one of those parties that vociferously were against it.
That is the issue different, Poonam. You have to understand there are twofold issues. Now it's the burning issue is the minorities are not being protected by Bangladesh government.
But the law is meant exactly for
Caretaker
that, for
government.
prosecuted
And
Hindus,
they
for
are visibly
minorities, for
failed.
Sikhs in countries where they are in minority, including in Bangladesh. Isn't that the whole point of CAA?
CA is not that point. CA is different issue, Poonam. But these now, what Mamata Banerjee is trying to protect the interest of the minorities whose properties are being you're immediately covered and shown that 10 crores properties now they are threatening and trying to dispose of those properties just like no money also. So this way, if the Hindus' properties are being taken away, snatched away, extorted money and looting, plundered, what minority will do? We have to secure those minorities' interests at large. So Mamata Banerjee is very sympathetic CM, and she is not only that, she is one of the veteran parliamentarian who could understand the insecurity and the the minorities that atrocities
Sure, Siddharth
which have
Yadav,
been
these are
led
two
by
separate
these
issues.
caretaker
Right now,
governments.
it's important to bring back or bring in those people who may feel unsafe from Bangladesh. But the BJP, at least as far as West Bengal is concerned, believes these are just crocodile tears and hypocrisy of the Mamata Banerjee government.
No, absolutely. The hypocrisy is very well out in open in your TV debate as well. If when you say or when Mamata Banerjee says that bring all Hindus to our country, who are facing persecution, then why can't you say in the same line that we would give them citizenship and we are in favor of the CAA? You would oppose all Hindus that would come here, cross the border and save their lives. You would die hard. You would say that no, CAA and RC can never happen in Bengal. You would say all of this at the entire time, but also your hypocrisy will come out and say, no, bring them back. Bring them back and do what? Bring them back and do what? What do you want them to do? If you can't give them shelter, if you can't give them food, if you can't give them respect, they are probably better off in Bangladesh. You want to bring them here. You have different standards for Rohingyas. You have different standards for immigrants. You can give them all kinds of IDs when they come into your state illegally. But when Hindus are seeking refuge after their persecution in Bangladesh, you would say no CAA. This is the hypocrisy.
But Shabnam De, the point is exactly that. But Shabnam De, the point is exactly that. The hypocrisy is being seen today of the TMC, Shabnam De, because you said no for a law that brought in minorities that were being persecuted in these countries neighboring us, including Bangladesh. Back then you said, no, this is not the law that we need. But right now, that's exactly what Mamata Banerjee is pitching for.
Mamata Banerjee is pitching for now, it's a different issue where the minorities, their life, property are
How
at
is
stake.
it different? That's exactly
No,
what
it's
I'm
not a
trying to ask
different
you.
issue.
How is it any different?
Because that CA is totally different. Now it's a burning issue that PM should intervene and have a dialogue with Bangladesh
How
government
is CA totally
and to
different?
secure the interest.
You're not able to tell me, ma'am,
Mr.
how this is
Yadav,
any different.
you
If this is a burning issue and if that wasn't a burning issue, how do you qualify one to be lesser or bigger than the other? That's exactly what I'm not trying to understand, which is why
now
we're
it is
seeing
the bigger
this
issue.
Absolutely.
Now,
Absolutely,
it
but
is
that
the
didn't make
bigger
that didn't make
issue.
the
Why?
persecution
Because
of minorities before 2014 any lesser. That's exactly what I'm trying to get at. But I have very limited time on this and I want to get in Pinakarajan Chakravarti also on this broadcast and I want to let him have the last word. So there is a need for the central government to do more is what many within India, not just political rivals of the BJP, but many others, many experts also believe, including try and put pressure on the United Nations to do something about this. Is there something that India or New Delhi can do?
I don't think I would want to get into the political rhetoric, because political rhetoric is part of domestic politics and it does not guide India's foreign policy towards countries like Bangladesh. We have taken a low-key approach deliberately after considerable thought that we do not want to inflame passions any further, because already things are bad, and we would welcome the Yunus government if it acts robustly to crack down on these people who are attacking the Hindus. I've already explained why it is all happening. So I think Indian government is not actually encouraging the Hindus to escape to India, because they must live there. They are the citizens of Bangladesh and they will have to fight their own battles. And if they don't, then of course they will flee to India, which they have been doing since 1947. The population of Hindus in Bangladesh is around 8%. It used to be about 23% in 1947. So we have seen an exodus of Hindus, and even during peacetime when things are normal, a trickling of Hindus has always come into India because they are easy targets, and the Muslims and others, local people who covet their land and their property have constantly sometimes harassed them, saying, why don't you go to India? That is your country. That's what they say. I have heard it from those who have been affected. That why are you here? Your country is India. Can you imagine us saying that to Muslims in India? Never.
And yet we have the Bangladeshi government accusing us of hypocrisy and asking us to look within when the writing is clearly on the wall for them, and that's something for them to deal with. And the world is noticing, not just India. We've had politicians from the United Kingdom, from the United States, asking for the Yunus government to take greater steps, greater action to ensure there is an end to this violence. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time. I have to leave it there. I thank you all for joining us here on this discussion, on this debate on Plain Speak. It is time for a quick break on this edition of Plain Speak. But on the other side, we'll get you the suspense over the Maharashtra Chief Ministership that continues. The mandate was won, and a historic one at that. But why is it that Maharashtra still does not have a Chief Minister? We'll tell you after a quick break.
শান, তুমি কবে গিয়েছিলে বাংলাদেশে?
আমি নভেম্বর এই মাসের 23 তারিখ বাংলাদেশ গেছি।
আচ্ছা, কি কারণে?
আমি বাংলাদেশ গেছিলাম আমার একজন পরিচিত বন্ধুর বাড়ি। সে থাকে ঢাকার জুড়েনের বাগানবাড়ি অঞ্চলে। তারপর যখন আমার 26 তারিখ রাতে ফেরার কথা ছিল ভারতে, আবার তো ফেরার সময় ফেরার কিছুক্ষণ আগে 1:30টার দিকে আর বন্ধু বললো, ভাই আজকে তো ফিরে যাবি, চল একটু ঘুরে আসি বাইরে, তো বাজারে বেরানো। ঠিক ওই সময় তার বাড়ি থেকে কিছুটা দূরেই 5-6 জন মুসলিম যুবক মিলে আমাকে আটক করে। তারা আমাকে জিজ্ঞাসাবাদ করে যে তুমি কোথা থেকে এসছো, কোথায় থাকিস, নাম কি, ধর্ম কি। তো এইসব জিজ্ঞাসাবাদ করে আমি বলি যে আমি ইন্ডিয়ান, আমার ধর্ম এই, আমি নামি। তাও তখনই এটা শুনে ইন্ডিয়ান, তারপর হিন্দু, তখন তারা আমাকে টেনে নিয়ে যায় কোনায় অন্ধকারের দিকে। তো তারপর তারা আমার পকেট হাতানো শুরু করেছে, অনেক টাকা পয়সা, পকেট এইসব, আমার ফোন নিয়ে নেয়, টাকা পয়সা নিয়ে আমাকে মারধর করে, চড়থাপ্পড় দেয়। তারপরে আমিও নিজে সেলফ ডিফেন্স করার চেষ্টা করি, তখন তারা আমার মাথায় পাথর দিয়ে আঘাত করে প্রচণ্ড জোরে।
বন্ধুকে বাঁচানোর চেষ্টা করে,
আমার বন্ধু বাঁচানোর চেষ্টাই করেছে, সে নিজে আহত হয়েছে। ওরও ফোন কেড়ে নেওয়া হয়, মানে ছিনতাই করে নেওয়া হয়। তারপরে ছুরি দিয়ে আমার চোখের উপর চালানোর চেষ্টা হয়, চোখে লাগেনি, সরে গেছিলাম। হ্যাঁ, ওদের তো অস্ত্র ছিল, অস্ত্রতে আঘাত করে আমার এইখানে ছুরি দিয়ে আঘাত করা হয়। তারপরে আমি যখন তারা তো চিল্লাচ্ছিল যে ইন্ডিয়ান হিন্দু বলে মারছিল, তাই আশেপাশের মানুষেরাও খুব একটা বাঁচাতে আসছিল, কেউই আসেনি। শুধু একমাত্র আমার সেই পরিচিত বন্ধু যে ছিল, সেই আমাকে বাঁচানোর চেষ্টা করে যাচ্ছিল। তারপরে আমি যখন ব্যাপারটা একটু ঠান্ডা হলো, মানুষজন জড়ো হলো, তারা পালিয়ে যায় ওখান থেকে। দিয়ে আমি যে হেল্পলাইন নাম্বার বাংলাদেশে আছে 999, আমি অ্যাম্বুলেন্স ডাকবো বা পুলিশ ডাকবো, কল দিই, তারা উল্টো আমাকে জেরা করা শুরু করে যে তুমি কি করতে গেছো ওখানে, তোমার ওর সঙ্গে সম্পর্ক কি, তোমার কি লাগে, কিরকম বন্ধু, কিরকম পরিচয়, আমাকে মোটামুটি
বাঁচানোর জন্য আসেনি।
বাঁচানোর জন্য কি আসেনি, বরঞ্চ যাচ্ছে তাই আমাকে জেরা করে দেয় সবাই। তারপরে আমি যাই থানায়, শ্যামপুর থানায়, বাংলাদেশের শ্যামপুর থানায়। তারাও আমার রিপোর্ট নেয়নি, তারা বলেছে আমাদের এই থানায় হবে না, তুমি অন্য থানায় যাও।
মানে এটা লোকাল থানা ছিল?
হ্যাঁ, ওইখানকার লোকাল থানাতেই যাই। তো তারপরে তারা বলে তুমি আগে হসপিটালে চিকিৎসা করে এসো। তো আমি একটু প্রাইভেট নার্সিংহোমে যাই, সেখানে বলে আমাদের এখানে হবে না, তো তোমাকে সরকারি হাসপাতালে যেতে হবে। তো মানে আমাকে
ভারতীয় হিন্দু বলে করছিল, মানে ফিরিয়ে দিচ্ছিল।
সেটা আমি ঠিক বলতে পারবো না, কিন্তু মানে আমাকে কোনোরকমভাবে আমি স্বাস্থ্য দপ্তর বলুন বা প্রশাসন বলুন বা পুলিশ বলুন, যেই বলুন, কোনো জায়গা থেকে আমি সহযোগিতা পাইনি, বরঞ্চ উল্টো আমাকে হেনস্থা করা ছিল। আমি ব্লিডিং অবস্থায় মিনিমাম আমি 4 ঘন্টা করে ঘুরেছি শুধু, আমার ব্লিডিং আটকানোর জন্য 4 ঘন্টা আমাকে ঘুরতে হয়েছে মিনিমাম। তারপরে ঢাকায় মেডিকেলে গিয়ে যখন আমি অনেক রিকোয়েস্ট করে আমি এগুলো পাই, তারপরে আমাকে চিকিৎসা দেওয়া কোনো রকম জাস্ট সেলাই করে ছেড়ে দেয়, আদার্স কিচ্ছু করায়নি, শুধু সেলাই করে ছেড়ে দিয়েছে। তারপরে আমি রাত 3টে পেরিয়ে যাই করতে করতে। তো আমি ভাবলাম যে সকালবেলা অন্য কোনো থানায় গিয়ে চেষ্টা করবো কেস করার। তারপরে সকাল হলো, সকালে হওয়ার সাথে সাথেই এলাকার মানুষজন, যা নেতা বলুন বা ওখানকার কিছু গণ্যমান্য ব্যক্তি, সবাই জড়ো হয়ে আমার ফ্রেন্ডের বাড়িতে চলে এলো। বাড়িতে এসে তার ফ্যামিলিকে শাসানো শুরু করলো। তার ফ্যামিলিকে শাসাতে মানে এরকম
ওখানকার রাজনৈতিক ব্যক্তিত্ব,
ওখানকার আইনজীবী বলুন বা রাজনৈতিক ব্যক্তি, সবাই প্রত্যেকে ওখানে চলে এসেছে। আমার ফ্রেন্ডে ফেলেছে যে আমি তো চলে যাবো এখান থেকে।
কি হুমকি দিচ্ছিল যে এখান থেকে চলে যাওয়ার জন্য, নাকি কোনো রকম আইনি পদক্ষেপ নিতে? না,
আমাকে আইনি পদক্ষেপ নিতে বারণ করছিল এবং এটার জন্য হুমকি দিচ্ছিল যে আপনি ইন্ডিয়ান হিন্দুকে বাড়িতে কেন রেখেছেন,
আচ্ছা
আপনাকে তো মেরে ফেলা হবে, এইভাবে হুমকি দেওয়া হচ্ছে। আমার বন্ধুর নাম আমি
তারপরে
তো তারপর আমি বললাম ঠিক আছে ভাই, আমার জন্য তোরা কেন সমস্যা নিবি, আমি একটু সুস্থ হয়ে বাড়ি ফিরে আসি। তো যতদিন আমি ওখানে অসুস্থ অবস্থায় ছিলাম ততদিন তারা এসে আমার বন্ধুর ফ্যামিলিকে সমানে শাসিয়ে গেছে, সমানে তাদের মানে বাড়ি থেকে বেরোতেই পারবে না এমন একটা সিচুয়েশন ক্রিয়েট করে দিয়েছে। তো আমি কালকে মানে 30 তারিখ, নভেম্বরের 30 তারিখ সকালবেলা ভোরবেলার দিকে আমার বন্ধুর সঙ্গে লুকিয়ে আমি ঢাকা স্টেশনে এসে আমি বাড়ি ফিরে আসি আমাদের ভারতে। তো মানে
কতটা আতঙ্কিত
আমি তো
খোঁজ নিয়েছো যে তার বাড়িতে আবার অ্যাটাক হয়েছে?
হ্যাঁ, সেটা তার বাড়িতে আপাতত অ্যাটাক হয়নি, কিন্তু সমানে তাদের শাসি যাওয়া হচ্ছে যে কেন রাখা হয়েছে, ইন্ডিয়ান হিন্দুকে কেন রাখা হয়েছে।
কতটা আতঙ্কিত এই বিষয়ে, কতটা আতঙ্কিত, কি পরিস্থিতি?
এখন তো আমি আতঙ্কিত নই, যখন ওখানে ছিলাম তখন আতঙ্কিত ছিলাম প্রচুর। মানে এক তো যেটা হয়েছে সেটা নিয়ে যতটা না আতঙ্কিত, ওটা ধামাচাপা দেওয়ার জন্য যেভাবে আমার সঙ্গে ট্রিট করা হয়েছে বা আমার বন্ধুর ফ্যামিলির সঙ্গে ট্রিট করা হয়েছে, বা প্রশাসন থেকে যে কোনো একটা সাহায্য পায়নি, মানে সম্পূর্ণ হেল্পলেস বা আমাদেরকে বানিয়ে ফেলা।
Thank you for staying with us here on Plain Speak. The suspense over who is going to be the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra continues. That's shrouded in mystery. The BJP has meanwhile named 2 central observers, Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman and former Gujarat Chief Minister Vijay Rupani, for the legislature party meeting that is going to take place in Maharashtra. They'll then select its leader, who perhaps will go on to be the next Chief Minister of Maharashtra. Over a week after the Mahayuti secured that landslide win, though, the new government is yet to be sworn in, something that the opposition has asked several questions about. Top sources have now informed CNN News 18 that all BJP MLAs in the legislature are likely to receive phone calls tonight. They could be in Mumbai as early as tomorrow. BJP observers will also be arriving in Mumbai tomorrow, following which the legislature party meeting will take place. During this meeting, 2 proposals will be presented, one for the leader of the legislative party and the other for the chief whip. Devendra Fadnavis is likely to be unanimously chosen as a leader of the legislative party leader, which means that paves the way for him to be the next chief minister. The oath-taking ceremony will then take place on the 5th of this month, after which all MLAs will return to their respective constituencies. Meanwhile, amid growing speculation that caretaker Chief Minister Eknath Shinde may be considered for the position of Deputy Chief Minister, his son has denied any ambitions for a ministerial role, dispelling rumours of him becoming the Deputy Chief Minister. Taking to social media, Shrikant Shinde refuted the claims of being in the race for any ministerial position. He says, "I'm happy as a member of parliament here in the national capital." He also said that his father is not sulking, as many reports claim. Now, the BJP-led Mahayuti has achieved a significant victory, but the formation of the next government has been delayed. Why really are we seeing that delay in the announcement of who the next chief minister is going to be and the swearing-in ceremony actually taking place? Many believe that a smooth transition is important from Shinde to the new Maharashtra chief minister. The delay in the decision regarding the new chief minister is due to the need for that smooth transition. We do not want any parties, the Ajit Pawar faction or the Shiv Sena, to be sulking, to not be on board, says the BJP, which is why we're ensuring that we take enough time and that enough is being done to ensure that the Mahayuti stays united. The leadership change should not lead to any instability within the state or the ruling alliance. That was priority. Confidence of every single alliance member was another reason why there seems to be a delay. That is the coalition politics dharma, says the BJP, particularly in Maharashtra. It's a crucial state and all three parties have done enough to ensure that they get that landslide win. Hard bargaining by alliance partners on portfolios is another reason why there seems to be a delay as far as the swearing-in ceremony goes. Each party wants to secure important ministries and ensure that its share of power in the state government is reflected in its support for the new leadership. The BJP, we believe, is also taking measures to rule out a 2019 sort of a situation. The BJP wants to avoid a repeat of that deadlock that occurred 5 years ago, ensuring that alliance structure is solid, that there is no future impasse that occurs, and that is something that is required not just for the stability of the alliance but also of the state. They also want to rule out any adverse implication on BJP's national prospects. They want to ensure that the decision on the new Maharashtra chief minister not only ensures its stability in Maharashtra, but also is a reflection of the BJP's rise nationally. That's what the BJP believes. So when will Maharashtra get a new chief minister? Well, we'll keep a track of that here on CNN News 18. But for now, it's time for a quick break on this edition of Plain Speak. On the other side, we'll get you details of why the Tamil Nadu government, the DMK government, is in hot water with the Supreme Court. There is a row over reinduction of graft accused leader Senthil Balaji.
শান, তুমি কবে গিয়েছিলে বাংলাদেশে?
আমি নভেম্বর এই মাসের 23 তারিখ বাংলাদেশ গেছি।
আচ্ছা, কি কারণে?
আমি বাংলাদেশ গেছিলাম আমার একজন পরিচিত বন্ধুর বাড়ি। সে থাকে ঢাকার জুড়েনের বাগানবাড়ি অঞ্চলে। তারপর যখন আমার 26 তারিখ রাতে ফেরার কথা ছিল ভারতে, আবার তো ফেরার সময় ফেরার কিছুক্ষণ আগে 8:30টার দিকে আর বন্ধু বললো, ভাই আজকে তো ফিরে যাবি, চল একটু ঘুরে আসি বাইরে, তো বাজারে বেরানো। ঠিক ওই সময় তার বাড়ি থেকে কিছুটা দূরেই 5-6 জন মুসলিম যুবক মিলে আমাকে আটক করে। তারা আমাকে জিজ্ঞাসাবাদ করে যে তুমি কোথা থেকে এসছো, কোথায় থাকিস, নাম কি, ধর্ম কি। তো এইসব জিজ্ঞাসাবাদ করে আমি বলি যে আমি ইন্ডিয়ান, আমার ধর্ম এই, আমি নামি। তাও তখনই এটা শুনে, যেই শুনে ইন্ডিয়ান তারপর হিন্দু, তখন তারা আমাকে টেনে নিয়ে যায় কোনায় অন্ধকারের দিকে। তো তারপর তারা আমার পকেট হাতানো শুরু করেছি, অনেক টাকা পয়সা, পকেট এইসব, আমার ফোন নিয়ে নেয়, টাকা পয়সা নিয়ে আমাকে মারধর করে, চড়থাপ্পড় দেয়। তারপরে আমিও নিজে সেলফ ডিফেন্স করার চেষ্টা করি, তখন তারা আমার মাথায় পাথর দিয়ে আঘাত করে প্রচণ্ড জোরে।
বন্ধুকে বাঁচানোর চেষ্টা করে,
আমার বন্ধু বাঁচানোর চেষ্টাই করে, সে নিজে আহত হয়েছে। তার ওরও ফোন কেড়ে নেওয়া হয়, মানে ছিনতাই করে নেওয়া হয়। তারপরে ছুরি দিয়ে আমার চোখের উপর চালানোর চেষ্টা হয়, চোখে লাগেনি, সরে গেছিলাম। হ্যাঁ, ওদের তো অস্ত্র ছিল, অস্ত্র দিয়ে আঘাত করে, আমার এইখানে ছুরি দিয়ে আঘাত করা হয়। তারপরে আমি যখন তারা তো চিল্লাচ্ছিল যে ইন্ডিয়ান হিন্দু বলে মারছিল, তাই আশেপাশের মানুষেরাও খুব একটা বাঁচাতে আসছিল, কেউই আসেনি। শুধু একমাত্র আমার সেই পরিচিত বন্ধু যে ছিল, সেই আমাকে বাঁচানোর চেষ্টা করে যাচ্ছিল। তারপরে আমি যখন ব্যাপারটা একটু ঠান্ডা হলো, মানুষজন জড়ো হলো, তারা পালিয়ে যায় ওখান থেকে। দিয়ে আমি যে হেল্পলাইন নাম্বার বাংলাদেশে আছে 999, আমি অ্যাম্বুলেন্স ডাকবো বা পুলিশ ডাকবো, কল দিই, তারা উল্টো আমাকে জেরা করা শুরু করে যে তুমি কি করতে গেছো ওখানে, তোমার ওর সঙ্গে সম্পর্ক কি, তোমার কি লাগে, কীরকম বন্ধু, কীরকম পরিচয়। আমাকে মোটামুটি বাঁচানোর জন্য কি আসেনি, বরঞ্চ যাচ্ছে তাই আমাকে জেরা করে যায় সবাই। তারপরে আমি যাই থানায়, শ্যামপুর থানায়, বাংলাদেশের শ্যামপুর থানায়। তারা তারাও আমার রিপোর্ট নেয়নি, তারা বলেছে আমাদের এই থানায় হবে না, তুমি অন্য থানায় যাও।
মানে এটা লোকাল থানা ছিল?
হ্যাঁ, ওইখানকার লোকাল থানাতেই যাও। তো তারপরে তারা বলে তুমি আগে হসপিটালে চিকিৎসা করে এসো। তো আমি একটু প্রাইভেট নার্সিংহোমে যাই, সেখানে বলে আমাদের এখানে হবে না, তো তোমাকে সরকারি হাসপাতালে যেতে হবে। তো মানে আমাকে
ভারতীয় হিন্দু বলে করছিল, মানে ফিরিয়ে দিচ্ছিল।
সেটা আমি ঠিক বলতে পারবো না, কিন্তু মানে আমাকে কোনো রকমভাবে আমি স্বাস্থ্য দপ্তর বলুন বা প্রশাসন বলুন বা পুলিশ বলুন, যেই বলুন, কোনো জায়গা থেকে আমি সহযোগিতা পাইনি, বরঞ্চ উল্টো আমাকে হেনস্থা করা ছিল। আমি ব্লিডিং অবস্থায় মিনিমাম আমি 4 ঘন্টা করে ঘুরেছি শুধু, আমার ব্লিডিং আটকানোর জন্য 4 ঘন্টা আমাকে ঘুরতে হয়েছে মিনিমাম। তারপরে ঢাকায় মেডিকেলে গিয়ে যখন আমি অনেক রিকোয়েস্ট করে আমি এগুলো পাই, তারপরে আমাকে চিকিৎসা দেওয়া কোনো রকম জাস্ট সেলাই করে ছেড়ে দেয়, আদার্স কিচ্ছু করায়নি, শুধু সেলাই করে ছেড়ে দিয়েছে। তারপরে আমি রাত 3টে পেরিয়ে যাই করতে করতে, তো আমি ভাবলাম যে সকালবেলা অন্য কোনো থানায় গিয়ে চেষ্টা করবো কেস করার। তারপরে সকাল হলো, সকালে হওয়ার সাথে সাথেই এলাকার মানুষজন, যা নেতা বলুন বা ওখানকার কিছু গণ্যমান্য ব্যক্তি, সবাই জড়ো হয়ে আমার ফ্রেন্ডের বাড়িতে চলে এলো। বাড়িতে এসে তার ফ্যামিলিকে শাসানো শুরু করলো। তার ফ্যামিলিকে শাসাতে শাসাতে মানে এরকম
ওখানকার রাজনৈতিক ব্যক্তিত্ব,
ওখানকার আইনজীবী বলুন বা রাজনৈতিক ব্যক্তি সবাই প্রত্যেকে ওখানে চলে এসেছে। আমার ফ্রেন্ডে ফেলেছে যে আমি তো চলে যাবো এখান থেকে।
কি হুমকি দিচ্ছিল যে এখান থেকে চলে যাওয়ার জন্য, নাকি কোনো রকম আইনি পদক্ষেপ নিতে? না,
আমাকে আইনি পদক্ষেপ নিতে বারণ করছিল এবং এটার জন্য হুমকি দিচ্ছিল যে আপনি ইন্ডিয়ান হিন্দুকে বাড়িতে কেন রেখেছেন,
আচ্ছা
আপনাকে তো মেরে ফেলা হবে, এইভাবে হুমকি দেওয়া হচ্ছে। আমার বন্ধুর নাম আমি
তারপরে
তো তারপর আমি বললাম ঠিক আছে ভাই, আমার জন্য তোরা কোনো সমস্যা নিবি, আমি একটু সুস্থ হয়ে বাড়ি ফিরে আসি। তো যতদিন আমি ওখানে অসুস্থ অবস্থায় ছিলাম ততদিন তারা এসে আমার বন্ধুর ফ্যামিলিকে সমানে শাসিয়ে গেছে, সমানে তাদের মানে বাড়ি থেকে বেরোতেই পারবে না এমন একটা সিচুয়েশন ক্রিয়েট করে দিয়েছে। তো আমি কালকে মানে 30 তারিখ, নভেম্বরের 30 তারিখ সকালবেলা ভোরবেলার দিকে আমার বন্ধুর সঙ্গে লুকিয়ে আমি ঢাকা স্টেশনে এসে আমি বাড়ি ফিরে আসি আমাদের ভারতে। তো মানে
কতটা আতঙ্কিত
আমি তো
তার বাড়িতে আবার অ্যাটাক হয়েছে।
হ্যাঁ, সেটা তার বাড়িতে আপাতত অ্যাটাক হয়নি, কিন্তু সমানে তাদের শাসি যাওয়া হচ্ছে যে কেন রাখা হয়েছে, ইন্ডিয়ান হিন্দুকে কেন রাখা হয়েছে।
কতটা আতঙ্কিত এই বিষয়ে, কতটা আতঙ্কিত, কি পরিস্থিতি?
এখন তো আমি আতঙ্কিত নই, যখন ওখানে ছিলাম তখন আতঙ্কিত ছিলাম প্রচুর। মানে এক তো যেটা হয়েছে সেটা নিয়ে যতটা না আতঙ্কিত, ওটা ধামাচাপা দেওয়ার জন্য যেভাবে আমার সঙ্গে ট্রিট করা হয়েছে বা আমার বন্ধুর ফ্যামিলির সঙ্গে ট্রিট করা হয়েছে বা প্রশাসন থেকে যে কোনো
Greenland Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Welcome back. You're watching Plain Speak. Senthil Balaji, a four-term MLA in Tamil Nadu, was arrested in June last year in connection with corruption allegations during his tenure as a Tamil Nadu transport minister in the previous government. 8 months after he was arrested, he resigned as a minister. In September this year, he was granted bail by the Supreme Court, and that was seen as a sign by the state government to re-induct him into the Stalin government. That's exactly what they did 4 days later. Senthil Balaji was reinstated as minister with key portfolios of electricity, excise and prohibition. Now, that's something that the Supreme Court has taken objection to. In oral submissions today, Justice Oka on the two-judge bench asked and made several observations. He asked, we granted you bail, the next day you become minister. How is that okay? Anybody will get the impression that witnesses are under pressure. Witnesses may not be in the frame of mind to depose now against you, testify against you, is something that the judge observed. So now that the highest court of this country has come out and not only expressed surprise at this decision of the state government, but also wrapped the reinduction, will the state government and DMK rethink?
Now Mr. Stalin must tell us, why is he protecting the corrupt?
Let's open this up. Uma Anandan, leader of Tamil Nadu BJP, joins us. Pularao, political analyst who backs the DMK, is with us. And Sumit Nagpal, advocate, joining us as well. Pularao, are we going to be seeing a rethink from the DMK on the reinduction of Mr. Senthil Balaji?
Why should they? The court simply thought loud, The court simply said, oh, you become minister. Court makes remarks all through its hearings. Those remarks are not orders. And then the final outcome will be something that they decide on the evidence. I can quote you dozen cases where, the courts make various remarks, and naturally those who are interested feel the court is swaying this way, that way. It doesn't happen. All that they said is you become a minister. Why nothing prevents them in law? They didn't say you cannot become a minister, become a minister. Now they said the only thing they are going to decide is whether he has been in touch or trying to threaten the witnesses. That's what the court said. I'm not saying that. Now on the next hearing, I believe it's on the second week of December or third week of December, the court will have an opportunity to hear what Senthil Balaji's advocate has filed. And then the advocate, if the court is satisfied, it goes on. Under no circumstances did the court say one of the bail conditions was you can't earn your livelihood or you can't become a minister, nothing like that. Because that would have very far-reaching consequences.
Sure.
That till you're convicted, you cannot do this, you cannot do that. Bail conditions cannot be linked to that. Otherwise, it becomes that you have decided the merits of the case. And the Supreme Court has also said, we are not deciding on the merits or anything of the case. We are only going into the simple issue, whether he is becoming a minister, and after becoming a minister again in September sometime, has impacted the witnesses. So that is for him to
So is that fear not real? Is that what you're saying, Mr. Pularao, that the fear that a man who is a minister, which means he's in a position of power, can, if he wants to, turn the outcome of a certain investigation or a case against him, because there is intimidation of witnesses that happens. It's happened multiple times in the past. Is that fear not real?
Absolutely can, if he wants to. And I am also sure he's intelligent enough to know that if he does these things, he'll be watched and there'll be consequences. So if he wants to, will depend on how sensible he is. I'm sure he's very sensible. A man who has been minister or MLA for 20 years will definitely know that in this day and age, any word you say will be recorded, and our good friend Mrs. Anandan will definitely highlight it in the media if it happens. Therefore, I think they're intelligent enough to be aware that they can do it, but they shouldn't do it, and they would not have done it. But, let us see what the witnesses have said. We have to wait for it. That's why they go to court. Let's hear it.
So, Anandan, it's barely a rap on the knuckles, is what the DMK believes. The DMK sympathizer also believes.
I don't know what the DMK believes. I'm saying as an observation.
Sure. So, why even bother asking a question of what happens to Mr. Balaji's future? Umanandan.
Well,
First, I would like to say the complainant has been the DMK. The people who first gave this complaint is the DMK party on this cash for job scam. And after he shifted, it was too late, and he has been in jail for over a year holding on to his ministerial position. He did not resign. Why should the public money be wasted like this? Is it not see, the spirit of law is not enough if it is followed in words alone. Even in spirit it has to be followed. We know the proverb, Caesar's wife, and he says if they are threatened, he would, the court can take. I would like to ask one question. First, the people who have gone to court on this are not big shots. They are all people who have given money for a job in the transport department. Is it so easy to approach the Supreme Court for those people? How expensive it is going to be? First, the Supreme Court, I think, it is not enough if they just say, as I said, the words. Is it enough for Supreme Court to say that please say the Tamil Nadu government, wrap them and say, you become the minister? What stopped them? I think they should have taken a suo moto of this and not allowed him at all to have become a minister. Because you know how his clout floats across Tamil Nadu. Senthil Balaji, a very powerful minister. So I have two things here. First, the Supreme Court, it's just not enough if they pass observations like this. They should take a serious cognizance of this, and this man continuing as a minister. And DMK has always been good at preaching morals for others. But when it comes to him, I would like to ask the Chief Minister, Mr. Stalin, is there no other minister who can handle this department? Is Mr. Senthil Balaji the only person capable of handling this? Why do you want a minister who's tainted, who has been in the prison, who did not resign? So long as more than a year he was in the prison and did not resign, is it not morally binding? What
it's
is
also
the
about
DMK going to
optics,
answer?
isn't it,
They've
Pularao?
always been like this only.
It's also about optics, Pularao, isn't it? Like the BJP is asking, many
Absolutely.
others would also be thinking in Tamil Nadu that could they not find a better candidate?
I like it when you talk about optics. You know, just now the Maharashtra election was over. One of the issues was, all along the trial, what Uddhav Thackeray moved, the case, everybody thought the court was going to restore him. They thought they were going to restore him the office, but they didn't. Well, how were those optics they're complaining about today? Let's go by the law. I'll be very happy.
We're talking about Senthil Balaji.
I'll be very happy.
We're talking about Senthil Balaji's issue.
Umanandan, let him finish, please. I'll give you your time to rebut. Let him finish, please. Let's try and keep this
civil. Let me finish. I'm
go
not
ahead,
interested
Pularao.
let me finish.
Yes, go ahead.
Listen. You see, let us wait for what the judge says. You have a few more days. Let us see what Senthil Balaji's lawyer presents. Whether on the other side, we have to wait. That's the way the law works. I'm sorry to say this. That's the way it works. So let us wait for 10 days and you'll get your answers.
Law works for them.
And the court, if the court found that he has played with the witnesses, he will go. It's only predicated on that single thing, that little thing. The court said, I'm not going into the merits. I'm only going to see whether any attempt was made to intimidate the witnesses, contact the witnesses. That's for them to prove. That's for him to disprove if that happened. So let's wait. We can't discuss what they want to present today. What's going to happen in 2 weeks?
Sure.
We'll know very soon enough. You'll know soon enough what both sides have got with them, what kind of evidence they have, and I'm sure the courts will take a very judicious decision.
Sure. Umanandan, before I come back to you, I want to get in Sumit Nagpal as well, because I want you to put this in perspective, Mr. Nagpal, as far as what the implications for this would mean. While both parties read this particular observation in as per their convenience, as per how it deems fit to them. But as far as a layman and as far as a taxpayer, a viewer is to look at this, the kind of observations that have come to the fore from the Supreme Court today, are they damning or are they not? Is this something that should be concerning the party?
One should understand one thing, that when it comes to the observations of the Supreme Court or any other court for that matter, the observations are not enforceable. That we know. Mr. Rao had rightly pointed out that these are observations, these are not enforceable. But at the same time, you get an idea what is going on in the mind of the judge, how they are feeling. So observations are very, very important when it comes to the Supreme Court. In fact, I would say that when the Congress government was there, it was just an observation that CBI is a caged parrot. Why such a hue and cry was there at that time? So it's not that observations are not important. One has to understand that observations are very, very important. And secondly, we know that intimidation of witnesses is a reality in India, and that is why witnesses protection program, witnesses protection schemes were launched in the year 2018. Supreme Court had directed the central government as well as the state governments to draft a scheme for the protection of the witnesses. So you cannot say that we'll be waiting for the day when actually something happen will in this case something will happen. Only then the questions can be raised against the government led by Mr. Stalin. I would say it is a cause of concern. We all know how the power functions in this country. When a powerful minister is an accused in a case, in that case, obviously the message which is going to the witnesses is that he is a powerful man. He can control the government. He can try to pressurize the witnesses. So these things cannot be taken lightly. And as far as this case is concerned, Supreme Court has said that we will not be getting into the merits of the case as of now. But yes, surely they will be looking into this particular fact, that whether witnesses will be feeling any pressure in this matter or not. And I can presume that something would come out of this case. You cannot take this lightly. Mr. Rao has to understand.
Sure. Umanandan, does it seem like the DMK government is taking this lightly?
Definitely yes. The very fact that they did not make Mr. Senthil Balaji resign when he was in jail shows the attitude of DMK. Second, Mr. Rao was talking about threatening, let him go. First, understand, when this case happened when Mr. Senthil Balaji was a minister in the Anna DMK government. He was not in the DMK then. And till Anna DMK was in power, no, the witness, the people who suffered of this, who had given the cash, could not go to court because instances of they being threatened was already there, and the DMK government lodged the case and then kept quiet. They could not handle Mr. Senthil Balaji's clout when he was a minister. So it was obvious that all the people who were victims could not go to court at that time for fear of, and some of them have even come out in record to say that they were threatened. No progress was seen in that case at that time. So the DMK also filed this thing and kept quiet.
So Pularao, back then the DMK thought that Senthil Balaji had enough clout that he could have intimidated, that this man could have intimidated witnesses back then when he was not in the party.
Well, can I just respond? I respect what Mr. Nagpal said. He had given a very measured assessment of what has transpired as a lawyer. I also agree, but then all I'm saying is, and Momaji has given all the history of Senthil did that, Senthil did this. You know, people get amazed at his versatility, that he has survived so many governments, that he is loved by different parties. Imagine that. So eventually, if she goes on saying that, we'll all become admirers of Senthil Balaji. I must warn Momaji. But, you know, the point is, you have to wait.
Welcome
be
aboard.
A little patient.
Welcome aboard.
Be a little patient. Let us hear on the next 2 weeks. Because, you know, I believe, I don't mean to belittle Mr. Nagpal, you know, observations, various observations were made in all these constitutional cases. And finally, they gave a decision which was totally opposite. I don't have to tell you on the gender case what happened. I don't have to tell you on Uddhav Thackeray, all his hopes were raised and then crashed. All that. Let us go with their observations. I believe in that. And I think that, you know, the Chief Minister's prerogative to take you as a minister or not a minister, unless you're convicted, unless you're there. Of course, I don't want to go into the politicization of agencies, all of that. Those are old stories, you know, which I don't want to go into those long stories. Let us leave it there. Give him a chance. Let him have his day in court. And then the court will say whatever it wants. Why are you against him? Let him have his day in court.
So innocent until proven guilty, or the other way around. Let's not try and turn that on its head, is what the DMK would say, Umanandan.
No, they would say something.
First understand, they would say everybody can have their own share of arguments on this. But as Mr. it is not a long story, as my co-panelist said. It is statement of facts. I am not telling he jumped from this party, that party. This was in the recent, this thing when he was a minister under Mr. Edappadi. And then the DMK came to power. And the complaint was lodged by DMK then, and it was being hatched. It never came to the forefront. Now only it came, and now I think the DMK must be ruining. Why did they first of all give the complaint? Now that he has come aboard, he becomes a Vestal Virgin. He has come aboard in DMK and he is innocent.
Well. What do you think of Ajit Pawar then? What do you think of Ajit Pawar? Umaji, what do you think of Ajit Pawar? They call him the most corrupt man in the history of India. Where they're sitting and they're mollycoddling him. They're mollycoddling him. They said he's the most corrupt man. Honorable Prime Minister said that. And now they're sitting and doing the same thing.
Is there a case pending? Is there a case pending?
There was a case. There was a nice inquiry. No, there's nothing so good. There was a nice inquiry instituted, and then after some convenient time.
You talk so much about law. Is there a case pending against him?
Now he is clean. He has been dry cleaned, whitewashed, washed. When the dhobi and pressed, it's okay. So all I'm saying is the court is there. The big court has intervened.
And everyone will have their day in court and the courts will decide, but there is some amount of propriety that is expected. Now, politicians are elected representatives, no less, need to be above board, have a certain standard that is expected to be higher than every other single layman. Perhaps that's why more was expected out of the DMK government in Tamil Nadu. Unfortunately, I'm completely out of time. I thank you all for joining us here on this edition and sharing your perspective. It's a wrap from my side here on Plain Speak. Anand Narasimhan joins you next.
Green Lamb Laminates presents CNN News 18 Primetime Studio.
Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narsimhan coming to you live from the CNN News 18 Green Lamb Laminates Primetime Studio. Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh Chief Mohan Bhagwat has expressed concern over the declining population of the country and said that it is necessary for every family to have at least 3 children. He said, and I quote, "Decreasing population is a matter of concern because the Lok Sankhya Shastra says that if we go below 2.1, then that society perishes. No one will destroy it, it will perish by itself." Mohan Bhagwat added, "We need more than 2, that is 3